Hi guys, good evening and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I'll be giving you my very emotional but oh so satisfying episode review for the latest and greatest episode of Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, which just dropped its newest episode tonight. Well, technically it dropped a week ago, but the rest of us who don't have AMC Plus got to see it tonight for the first time. So before I get into all of that, of course, please be warned, as usual with most of my episode reviews, do not keep watching or listening if you're not caught up on Fear the Walking Dead, at least by the latest episode. That being said, you have been warned. Let's dive right back into it. Oh, this one got to me. Oh, God, that was emotional. You know, I felt myself tearing up at least two separate occasions. I did not expect to tear up towards the end, but I did there. But when it dawned on me, because it happened so fast, I didn't really have a chance to react. I was more like, but when Rufus got bit by Emil's severed walker head, I was like, no. I mean, I didn't say that out loud, but in my mind, because it happened so fast, I said nothing out loud verbally, but in my mind, I was like, no, not Rufus, no. Especially when he got such a spotlight in this episode. He was featured so much throughout this episode. I thought to myself, oh good, they're finally utilizing more of the dog. Nope, he's dead. Oh God, that was sad. I was tearing up during that whole scene, like right before they thankfully killed him off screen. But Josiah super regretting his vendetta now that it got Rufus killed, and they're sitting around the campfire and he's giving them the baked beans that the dog usually likes. Oh God, that was sad. Oh man, that was sad. And then I started to tear up towards the end when Sarah decides to leave Wendell behind in Victor's tower, knowing that it really is the perfect or most safest place for him, rather than being out in the road or out in the world, open world, especially for a cripple, but without a wheelchair. Although they probably gave him a new one in the tower, right? Yeah. Oh, but was I nervous watching this episode? There were so many hints or teases that Wendell was dead or going to turn up a walker. But I thought, no. If they're going to kill off a character like that, they're going to do it on screen in front of us so we have 100% certainty that this character is definitely dead. So the fact that they confirmed he's still alive, I was like, oh, thank you. You killed Rufus, but you confirmed Wendell is still alive, so thank you for that. And hats off to everybody in this episode, especially Mo Collins and Demetrius Gross. These two really carried most of the episode. I loved how they had very similar, like parallel paths almost, both looking for their brothers. Well, Josiah was more about revenge, but for his brother's murder. I loved how they were kind of like the opposite ends of a magnet, but at the same time they were very much alike, so they met in the center. Whereas like Sarah was all about finding her brother Wendell, Josiah was all about finding Morgan to avenge his brother's death, and it was great because it was like, wow, it's like these characters who are so different and yet so alike, forced or stuck together, trying to achieve a somewhat common goal. Although I gotta say, I loved how committed Sarah was to not having this guy kill Morgan. Despite whether or not they find Wendell alive or dead, she really did not want him to hurt Morgan. So I loved that. And I also love that Sarah got a fairly dramatic episode or story in this show, because she and her brother were usually the great, much-needed comic relief throughout the series ever since they've been on since season 4. And they've had some dramatic beats here and there, but this episode was really all about Sarah. And I love that a character who's normally quite funny and quite snippy in the best way possible got a pretty dramatic episode where you really identified and felt for her. That's what made this episode so good and yet so heartbreaking at the same time. Heartbreaking with the loss of Rufus and the decision to leave Wendell behind in a place where he's much, much safer. Gotta say, I still like Victor despite his flaws, but I'm getting real fed up with that Howard guy. They should kill him off so he can go back on The Mandalorian. Because that's all I know him from. But you know what? Victor can be smug, but he wasn't behaving as smug as this little shit Howard was. He was like, you're not in a position to demand anything, or nothing like that. Like, he was very matter-of-factly, and it's like, I just want to punch this guy in the face. on a more positive note, they managed to turn an enemy into an ally, or a potential ally, with, you know, Josiah realizing his vendetta was wrong, actually apologizing for his brother's actions to Morgan. It's like, hey, sorry, my brother tried to kill you. And then finally making peace with his brother's death, and then just letting him go. Unfortunately, it took the death of Rufus to make him all realize this, but if a character death is going to contribute anything to a show like this, it's to something like this. So I'm glad that he's willing to join the group when he feels the time is right and ready, and he's still alive and kicking, unlike his brother. You know, I was so bummed they killed Emil in the beginning of season 6, because I thought he was such a great, mysterious, badass cowboy of a character. But now I was like, oh, good, he's got a twin brother who's just as skilled. Awesome. And now they've turned him into an ally, from an enemy into an ally. Even better. Perfect. So now we don't have to worry about him catching up to and killing Morgan. So great. I also loved how they quickly checked in the very beginning of this episode, reminding and reassuring us that everybody who got on that helicopter is alive and well in this fort turned into a Airbnb type of deal. It was brief checking in with all these guys, but it's nice to know that they're all alive and they're all doing just fine. Well, for the most part, but they're alive at least. Oh, what an excellent episode this was. I'll have to rewatch it, but this time I'll be more emotionally prepared to handle the heavy stuff, because I was seriously tearing up right before Rufus was killed, thankfully off screen. But oh God, that was sad. And that's probably one of our biggest character deaths of the season so far. And yes, I am considering him a character death. He had a name and he was with the show for at least 2 seasons. He is a character, and this is a character death, and it saddens me, and I'm sure it saddened a lot of people. Nobody likes to see a dog die. Nobody. You know, it brought back memories of my first viewing of I Am Legend. Ooh, that's still hard to watch to this day. It's a lot easier nowadays, but not when I first watched it back then. No. So, great episode. Hats off to everybody involved. Oh, gosh, I really, really enjoyed it. Can't wait for the rest of the season. You know, it's been great so far, and this was probably one of their best episodes yet. So what did you guys think of it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings on it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more episode reviews like this one. And have an awesome rest of your night if I don't see you. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.